Today, I want to talk about why I am not an agnostic. And to even have this argument, we need first to identify what we mean by God. And agnostics will tell us that they don't know if there is a God or not, and that it is impossible to know this. In essence, God is unknown and this is the kicker, he is unknowable. I don't believe this is true, and here's why. If God is unknowable, that means he does not influence physical reality. He has no influence on the real world whatsoever, because any influence exerted on reality leaves statistical anomalies that can be identified, and this would make him knowable. In other words, an unknowable God is one that doesn't do anything. Well, if God doesn't do anything, that means one of two things, to me anyway. Either he isn't there, or he doesn't matter. And if he isn't there, we can dismiss him out of hand because obviously that's irrelevant. And if he is there but doesn't do anything and hence doesn't matter, we can equally dismiss him because it simply doesn't have any relevance to human existence whether such a God exists or not. So I guess you could call me an agnostic as regards a God that is unknowable, because such a God is irrelevant regardless of anything else. In fact, an unknowable God has no influence on physical reality, so I don't see why we should even call it a God. It's just a conscience, and even that hardly makes sense. Anyway, the concept of the unknowable God doesn't match any God of any religion on earth in the entire history of mankind. It simply isn't what religion wants us to believe in. Is Yahweh unknowable? Most certainly not. He answers prayers and does all sorts of stuff like cause miracles and so on, making him very knowable. This is why we know for a fact that he isn't there, because all these things don't happen. There is no statistical anomaly based on prayer specifically to Yahweh. The same thing goes for Allah, for Ahura Mazda, for Odin, Thor, Zeus, Quetzalcoatl, Vishnu, Shiva, Baal, and so on and so forth. They're all described as interacting with the real world in ways that would leave a statistical anomaly in their wake, making them knowable and thus defeating this primary argument for agnosticism. At the same time, we can see that these statistical anomalies are not found. And in cases where we see an anomaly, the anomaly is independent of the choice of deity. This last point, of course, is in reference to prayer for one's own health, where we have seen evidence that prayer works, having what I'd call an auto-suggestive effect. But this effect is independent of your choice of deity. In other words, if you truly believe it'll help, you can pray to the Tooth Fairy and get the same results. So even that particular point is moot in reference to a knowable deity. We know that such a deity doesn't exist because any interaction would leave evidence, and that evidence simply isn't there. So there you have it, folks. That's why I am an atheist, not an agnostic. Peace.